Hey, thanks for watching 4Color Commentary. I'm Mark Allen, and today doing a comic haul video, and just a few dollar comics that I picked up recently. These are all dollar comics, and found some great deals. And I'm going to start with just a couple of, there's some not first appearances, not runs I've been looking for or anything like that. But when you find some comics, they're just no-brainers for a buck. The first one is an actual treasure chest comic, volume 23, number 10. January 11th, 1968. I was born in January 1968. This came out just 5 days before my birth, so kind of a cool comic to have. But this anytime you find a treasure chest comic in in the dollar box, it's just worth having and worth getting, because you never know what'll happen with Silver Age books. So just barely skirts the limit there of Silver Age, but. Then there was Avengers number 222. That's a cool book, Bronze Age book, barely in the Bronze Age again. But they're just one of those books that just kind of a new formation of the team was kind of beginning to gel. She-Hulk was a new member of the team at that time. And this is just a neat, another iteration of the Masters of Evil attack. And they get to work as a team and bring them down. It's just a neat book, pencils with art by Greg LaRocque. And I think Stephen Grant as the writer in that. So neat book, and that one is I remember having that when it came out back in '82, and so nostalgia there as well. Just back when books were Marvel just did good comic books all the time. The Trial of Thor. This is one of those Thor one-shots. What drew me to this immediately was the Cary Nord cover. Painted cover, and the Cary Nord interiors. I say painted, has a painted look. I don't know if it really is or not, but the Cary Nord interiors and the cover just beautifully done. The interiors look like the cover, kind of like his Conan work from years ago when Dark Horse took over the Conan property and Cary Nord was the penciler. Just that kind of beautiful work. All right, so those three are standalones. These next ones are minor keys, first appearances and such, and I do a little bit of that speculating when it just comes to dollar books or $2 to $3 books, but other than that, I don't. But it's Avengers number 2, or the new Avengers number 2 from 2015, the first appearance of the embodiment of the fifth dimension. So picked that up for a buck. That's actually on one of the some of the speculation lists these days. If you ever look at now I forget the app, but CBR, I think, or no, not Comic Book Resources. Anyway, it's in the spec deck of one of those resources. You probably know what I'm talking about. And then I picked up Peter Parker Spider-Man number 1, the Flashback, -1, I should say. Peter Parker Spider-Man Flashback -1. Now, I picked this up because I always enjoyed reading all the Flashback books. But this one actually has the macabre mystery of the Proto-Goblin, which I found out after the fact. This book, actually, people charge more than a buck for this, anywhere from $7 to $10 in some cases, because it is a prototype of the Red Goblin. And so I picked that up for $1. Like I said, I picked that one up because it looked like a fun read. Has one of those this one has it all covers, and but does have evidently a prototype of the Red Goblin in there. Now, this is a book that I have multiple copies of, but just simply because I enjoyed the story. Back in the 80s, when Marvel began their new universe, there was one title that I enjoyed very much, and that was Starbrand. And this is Starbrand number 1, and that one will take a good press just because it's got a stacking crease there. But I'll press that and keep it just because Starbrand is one of those characters that Marvel has brought back. They've brought back the Starbrand. I don't know about Ken Connell, but there's an active Starbrand in the Marvel Universe right now, as far as I know. So he is part of Marvel continuity, where the Starbrand, the power is. And so that's just always a neat one to have. First appearance of Starbrand and Ken Connell. And then this another first appearance, which I've picked these up any chance I get for $1. And that's Superman Convergence number 2, which is the first appearance of John Kent. Clark and Lois's son. So John Kent, first appearance there, and Superman Convergence number 2. Always a good one to have, because for a while, it's interesting, for a while those Super Sons were getting popular again. You had Damian Wayne and John Kent and they were getting popular, but seemed to cool off pretty quickly. And then Uncanny Avengers number 4 from 2016. Great, I think it's a McGinnis cover. No, I don't know if it looks like a McGinnis cover. Anyway, great fastball special there with Deadpool being thrown by Rogue. But this is the first appearance of Ultron Hank Pym. I guess that's how you say it, where Ultron and Hank Pym combined into one being. And this is his first appearance. Went ahead and got that. That's kind of a no-brainer for a buck, simply because Ultron, such a major, long-standing character in the Marvel Universe, Hank Pym as well, one of the Marvel's first characters, and so you know, that was no-brainer for a buck. Picked that up, and then 2 copies of this next one. Again, minor keys, but Kazar number 11 from 1981, and went ahead and found 2 copies of that in dollar bins, and that's the first appearance of Belasco. Belasco being that not devilish type villain that appeared in the X-Men in the 80s and became a major player in the X-Men in the 80s, and a major villain. I still believe that, you know, Marvel has used him just within the last few years. But anyway, just kind of a neat key to have, and especially to find 2 of them in a dollar box. That was just kind of neat. Now these next 2 I just got because they're personally cool to me. The first one is the Crusaders, another one of the those Christian comics that I buy. I try to collect all the Crusader comics I can. This one is actually a little cover variation on another version that I already have. This is, I believe, the later version. But the Crusaders, Operation Bucharest. And so I always like that cover, that shield shape there. And so that was, again, no-brainer for $1. And this next one is an Aircel comic from the 80s, 1987. And Aircel was one of those, you know, that had a following, and a lot of times the comics did such beautiful covers and beautiful interiors. This one is kind of the same with the cover is beautiful. It's Maelstrom, and just a gorgeous, gorgeous cover. Try to zoom in a little closer on that, but just a really neat cover. When I saw that, and the art is very similar inside. It is a this is actually a double-sided cover, and but you know, art is very, very similar. I believe it's the same artist. I don't even know, honestly, but it's black and white inside, of course, which I think all of Aircel comics were. But anyway, got that just because that was just a gorgeous cover. Now the next 2 are runs. Now in 1990, the Marvel Comics began a series called The New Warriors. You know, the New Warriors. This was one of those group books, though. It was the first team book that Marvel had done in a long time, with such cohesion, and the characters worked so well together. Well, I recently found in a dollar box a run of the first 7 right in a row, and including number 1, of course, 1 through 7. And now this isn't, you know, this wasn't their first appearance. Their first appearance was in a Thor comic. I don't remember the number, but I have it. I think I have 2 copies of it. Thor, a 2-part story with Thor facing the Juggernaut, and they first appear in that one, helping Thor fight the Juggernaut. But anyway, New Warriors 1 through 7. It's a great run to find in the dollar box. All these 2 were just in really, really nice condition. No stack increases even in any of these, and so glad to find those, because those are just fun to read again. Fun to read again whenever you get a chance. Now, this next group of books. One of those series from the Bronze Age, the 70s, that, you know, you just, not easy to come by, hard to find in high grade also, and in the wild. Now, again, I'm talking about in the wild. On eBay, you can find anything, just practically anything you want anymore. But this one, hard to come by in the wild in my area of the nation. And that's Oklahoma, Missouri, that kind of thing. But I found, first of all, the first 4 issues of Richard Dragon, DC's Kung Fu Fighter, and found, I don't think I'd ever even seen a number 1, much less than a dollar box, but got number 1 and number 2, number 3, and number 4. Okay, and so right there, boom, 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 boom. Nice to have, and even this black cover on number 4, just a few little spine ticks, but that's going to be pressed and look even nicer in that black cover. But then after, skip number 5, didn't get issue 5, but did find issue 7. And again, all of these, like the New Warriors, all of them in such nice shape. Number 7, or number 6, I'm sorry, that was number 6. Sorry. Number 7, and again, beautiful blue background there, and covers were just so gorgeous on this book. Number 8, another great black background cover with, man, nary a spine problem, nary a break. You know, just wonderful black cover on that. Number 8. Number 9, again, no spine problem. Just amazing to find these Kung Fu Fighter books in this condition. I think because they were read. I think kids read these books. This was in the era that Kung Fu was so popular, and the Bruce Lee movies, and so you have then from number 9 it goes to number 11. So I need to find issues 5 and issues 5 and 10. But there's number 11, great white cover, you know, and no smudges, no soiling, nothing. Just really so happy with these. Number 16. So I need to find 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, but there's number 16 and number 17. Again, just these covers are great. And number 18. Now 18, unfortunately, is one of those miscropped covers. You got some white back here that should have been on the back of the cover. You got the 35 cents. You got the cent sign a little bit clipped off there. There's barely any of it there, but that's, you know, that's minor. You have this, you know, great blue cover back here, and you got this Bronze Tiger, you know, storyline going on there. So I mean, this actually gives me hope of grabbing the whole Kung Fu Fighter series, and so can't wait to begin that new adventure of putting that series together, and just enjoying that series for what it is. But again, you know, it's funny, I picked these up at a comic store in Joplin, Missouri, and they have some back issues, but mostly their back issues are dollar comics. In this particular store, the owner told me, he said that those came. I was like, oh, I was so glad to find these Kung Fu Fighters for $1 each, you know, and so many of them in succession. And he's like, yeah, he's like, those came from his personal collection, and he gave up hope of ever getting the whole collection together. So I guess he's been trying for a long time, but I'm going to pick up where he left off, and I'm going to do my best to acquire that whole collection. One last item here. This was one I just picked up on a whim because this will go on the comic spinner rack, and for the boys, and I read it. I'm trying to find number 2, but this was one that wasn't even on my radar, because at this time I've only recently started picking up new comics again. Hopefully I'm going to make it to Comic Empire of Tulsa again soon, and get my new comics and maybe talk about those on a video pretty soon. But this was the SpiderMan Homecoming Prelude, part 1 of a 2-part. But I always loved that image, Spider-Man with Cap's shield. My boys love that image, and so that will come out of the bag and board and go on the spinner rack, because this is one of the comics that it's just going to be read and enjoyed, and hopefully I'll find part 2 and we'll be able to enjoy that as well. But it's mostly just retelling in a comic form of different scenes from the Civil War movie, which built up to Spider-Man Homecoming. But anyway, that's it. That's the haul, and not bad considering that it's only been a couple of weeks since my last haul video, maybe a little over a week. But anyway, hey, thanks for watching. If you haven't, go ahead and subscribe and like this video if you would, and even click that little bell so that you get notifications when there's a new 4-color commentary video coming out. But hey, as always, appreciate you watching. We'll see you next video.